Welcome back, my friends. This is Greg the Mad Scientist Bashiro, and this is the 360 Sports Network BCS Prediction Show. And with me tonight is James Dotson and Alex Laverson. Gentlemen, how are you on this pre New Year's Eve?
Doing well here. The best part about New Year's is being able to watch the Rose Bowl, along with the other games, but for me, the Rose Bowl itself on New Year's. So I'm ready for some college bowl game football, baby.
Same with me. I'm most excited about the Rose Bowl to watch Barry Alvarez and his Badgers take on the Stanford Cardinals. So we got a legendary coach here in the BCS Rose Bowl game, so that's the big game I'm worried about and anxious to watch.
With that said, you had mentioned Barry Alvarez, and of course, and the Wisconsin Badgers being the Big Ten. Well, let's put it this way, being the Big Ten favorite, because the other two favorites, unfortunately, were disqualified because of NCAA meddling. But with all that said, Alex, how do you feel about Barry Alvarez and this squad going against the Stanford Cardinals?
Oh, well, I really want Alvarez to win, him being with his Western PA ties, but I just can't help but think the Stanford Cardinals are going to be too much to handle. Also with, Wisconsin losing their head coach, it is normal to be a bit of a distraction, and you just wonder how much really Alvarez can come in there. He's been out of the game for a while now and really kind of steer the ship. So, Wisconsin, they've been in, 3 Rose Bowls in a row now or something like that. So I want them to win, but I think the Cardinals will win. I think another bizarre thing about this bowl is that Wisconsin, they finished third in the leaders division, the Big Ten, but Penn State and Ohio State both had sanctions against them. So it's not really necessarily the best Big Ten team in the Rose Bowl. So I think they can be, and I think will be undermatched in this bowl game.
No, absolutely, and, it's kind of disappointing, but, we will have at least a very rosy Rose Bowl with two red-colored teams out there, but that's beside the point. That's for all of our people who don't want to do analysis on the game itself. What I'm really interested in, the Badgers, though they were a very poor team, third in the division, like you said, they really showed what they could do when they put up 70 points in blowing out Nebraska in the Big Ten championship game, and this is now their third straight trip to the Rose Bowl. So what I looked for in that championship game against Nebraska, they ran for over 530 yards in that game on the ground. And they have the 12th best rushing attack in the country. Stanford has the 3rd best rushing defense in the country. Something has to give. The question is, what's it going to be? Can Monty Ball continue to run like crazy, or will the Cardinal defense just be way too much? I'm going to have to lean with Stanford on this one, just because not only do they have the good run defense, but they beat quality opponents all year. The last 5 games, all against ranked teams, they won each and every one of them.
Well, I think you brought up a valid point here, and that's the fact that you have one team, which is Stanford, which is a very, very tough run defense. And, of course, you have Wisconsin that just loves to run the ball. So I think just from using my powers of algebraic thinking, when you have 2 negatives, that usually equals a positive, which means that somebody's going to have to throw the ball in order to win. And the team that can do that, I think, will be the winner here. And looking at this, I think Stanford has a better chance at a passing attack than does Wisconsin.
Well, when Wisconsin has used 3 different starting quarterbacks this year, I think that is almost a guarantee.
Yeah.
We're all on the Cardinal. All right, well, let's move away from Pasadena then to the other New Year's Day BCS Bowl game, the Discover Orange Bowl. And while a lot of people think this might be the least entertaining of them all because it has a non-BCS conference team in it in Northern Illinois, in my mind, this might be the most fun game to watch because I think that you're going to see a up-and-coming star that very few have heard of. Northern Illinois, number 15 out of the MAC, versus number 12 Florida State out of the ACC. And the thing is going to be, Can the Florida State Seminoles, who boast a top 10 scoring defense, can they stop the BCS-Busters of the of the Huskies, who have the number 9 scoring offense? Here's the thing that's going to be the difference. How well does Jordan Lynch perform? I think Jordan Lynch should have been a Heisman finalist because he is just that good. Not enough people know about him, but I don't know. Maybe I'm hyping him up too much. Do you guys think that the Huskies have any chance in this game?
Oh, I definitely do think they have a chance. I think a lot of people forget that Mark Stoops has now left and is going to be the head coach of Kentucky. Anytime there's a coaching turnover in a program, that has a lot of emotional strain on the players. Even if it's just, I don't mean just as in just, but even when it's a defensive coordinator or offensive coordinator, that whole unit, needed Mark Stoops. He was their leader. Now he's gone. And I'm not saying that definitely guarantees that Florida State's going to lose because, they do have a good turnover defense there. And E.J. Manuel, their offense is pretty good, ranked number 13 and putting up 40 points a game. But if there was a time for an ACC team or a big conference team to lose in a major bowl game, it would be Florida State. And especially, like you said, that Northern Illinois has been playing on fire. So the stars are aligning for a possible Husky upset here.
I would have to agree with you on that, Alex. Northern Illinois, now, a lot of it has to go back to the strength of conference now as well. Granted, Northern Illinois is a MAC school, and MAC schools traditionally have not performed as well as, let's say, a school that comes out of the SEC or a school that may have come out of a major conference, let's say. But being that Northern Illinois has put up a lot of numbers and being that they've got a player that's got an axe to grind because he's got something to prove because, we have a guy here that was a Heisman candidate that basically, was kind of overlooked here in the whole midst. I really think the Huskies stand a better than even chance of upsetting Florida State here.
So are you guys going to go for that upset pick, or are you just blowing some hot air saying it could happen, but no?
Geez. I kind of, this whole bowl prediction thing, I really haven't had many upsets. And I'm not going to have an upset here. I think Florida State will find a way to win, but I actually think it will be a tough game.
All right, you gotta love the saying here, and Alex. You can't say anything bad about Florida State, and I love them because it's great and it's wonderful. However, mark it down, Dotson. Alex, mark it down. The Huskies are going to upset Florida State.
Greg, I'm with you. I think when you have the quarterback, Jordan Lynch, throwing for 3,000 yards and throwing for 24 touchdowns, rushing for another 1,700 yards and another 19 touchdowns on the ground, he is that team. And I'll tell you what, nobody has stopped him yet. I don't expect Florida State's defense to do any better. Give me the Huskies. And here's the other thing to keep in mind, guys. These BCS busting teams, teams like TCU, who won over Wisconsin in the Rose Bowl 2 years ago, teams like Boise State, who knocked off Oklahoma in the Fiesta Bowl back during the now instant classic game with the hook and lateral and the Statue of Liberty. These BCS busters are becoming perennial winners. So I think that in of itself, these teams are hungry to be shown that they are legitimate, and there is nobody hungrier than Jordan Lynch out there with the Huskies. So I think Northern Illinois wins, and I think they actually win convincingly.
Not to reach there, Jimmy, but we'll see.
Okay, well, that's why we play the game here. So one of us will be proven wrong. Maybe two of us. We'll see. All right, the next bowl on the agenda is the Sugar Bowl, where we have Louisville versus Florida. That's a stellar matchup here. Dotson, what do you think about this one?
Well, Florida, in my mind, has been an overrated team all year. Yes, I know they've won 4 games against teams who finished in the top 12 in the BCS. Okay, cool. One of them is Florida State, who really I don't think is that all impressive. We just kind of talked about them, and we didn't say much about them because, well, really, there's not too much impressive about them that really stands out. None of them was Texas A&M, but Florida played them in the first game of the year before Johnny Manziel had any career college starts. So I don't even give that one much credit at all. So because of that, I don't know, when you're a top 5 team and you're in the so-called powerhouse SEC, and you're so great supposedly, but you need a blocked punt as time expires to beat Louisiana Lafayette, I don't know. I don't think the Gators are that great of a team. Louisville is in the Big East, though. I don't know how much I could really even possibly pick Louisville going there. Any other team in the BCS, and Florida loses by 2 touchdowns, but I think I got to go with Florida. I think you're going to see a lot of Mike Gillislee. He ran for 140 yards against Florida State to end the season. Louisville allows 175 yards per game on the ground. A lot of Gillislee, a lot of Gators winning.
You know, you basically took the words out of my mouth there. See, me being a Big East guy, I watched the Cardinals this year, and, you know, they're not as impressive as their ranking would appear, and the fact that they're ranked number 21 and they're in the BCS Bowl, it's like Fat Albert playing in the Olympics. So it's just kind of a mismatch there. The whole season relied on Teddy Bridgewater. You know, when he declined, when he was out, the whole team declined. So he's coming back, though. How healthy is he going to be? You know, this layoff. You're right about Florida. You know, they hung around with some crappy teams there, but just for the fact that they're playing, I think, an inferior opponent, you've got to go with the Gators here. But if they played any other team, I would go for the upset.
You know, looking at this, it does seem to be a bit of a mismatch on paper here. But the big thing that I want to take a look at, and I mentioned this before in the other bowl picks that we were talking about, is the strength of conference. You have Florida coming out of the SEC. The SEC is like another NCAA another NCAA division in itself. I mean, it's the strength of competition there is very high and very keen. And you're playing a team that's coming out of the Big East, which is a conference which is a disarray. The competition factor there that Louisville had versus the competition factor that Florida had, I would give the strength of schedule. It sounds like a basketball prediction now, strength of schedule. But really, when you sit down and look at it, I give Florida the edge in this matchup.
All right, let's move forward, gentlemen, to the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl. You know, about a month ago, these two teams were going to be lined up to play each other in the national championship game itself. But then on the same day, within a couple hours of each other, the Ducks lose to Stanford, the Wildcats lose to Baylor. But, we're still going to be blessed to see an absolutely great game. This is by far the runner-up game in terms of excitement, minus the national championship game itself. Two great offenses. Colin Klein, third in the Heisman running for Kansas State, and then you have the unbelievable spread offense of Chip Kelly and the Oregon Ducks. They put up over 50 points per game. So do you take the Ducks, who put up so many points there out on the West Coast, or do you take Colin Klein, the Heisman Trophy finalist, and the K-State offense, who has come out of nowhere in these past couple of years?
Anytime that you take a look at this, you take a look at what Chip Kelly has done. He has done a tremendous job with the Oregon program since taking the program over many years ago. Oregon putting up 50 points per game is no fluke. This is something that they've been doing consistently for many, many years, and they've always been in the running. I look at Oregon basically steamrolling over Kansas State. I look at this a margin of victory of probably about 20 points.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I can't really make up my mind here with this one. I just feel like, both teams are great offenses. They were both supposed to play each other in the national championship game before they got knocked out of the national title picture. They're just both really great teams. I really don't have much to add, but I guess I'll go with Kansas State this year in this year's BCS Fiesta Bowl. So they beat the Mountaineers pretty handily, and I'm really grateful for that. They're the team that kind of sent them on their downward spiral. So I'm a little appreciative for that, so I guess I'll go with the Wildcats. I just really don't have much to add.
Yeah, this is two very evenly matched teams. I mean, they both have a good quarterback who runs the show. Of course, we mentioned Colin Klein. Marcus Mariota has been really great in that spread system. Threw for 2,500 yards. The thing for him, he only threw 6 interceptions this year. He also ran for about 700 yards. Here's the name to keep your eye on, though. Everybody knows about Kenyon Barber out there for Oregon. A lot of people forget about the Anthony Thomas, the backup running back. He does everything for him. He runs it. He leads the team in receptions, and he's their return specialist as well. The Anthony Thomas is going to be the difference maker in this game, and I think because of him and him alone, Oregon will win this game. Don't look too badly on Colin Klein losing to Baylor. Baylor's a much better team than anybody gave credit for, including you two guys who both picked Baylor to get crushed in their bowl game. And I'm pretty sure I was the one who said that they would dominate UCLA, but that's something beyond the point. I just needed to bring that up there real quick.
Yeah, you have a point there, Doctor.
But no, seriously, Oregon, I really think Kansas State has a great chance, but Oregon, with the Anthony Thomas as the difference maker, I got to give them the edge. I'm really excited to see that game, though. It's going to be a fun one to watch.
Well, there's only one left. No, only one bowl game left, and the one we're all anxious to watch. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish versus the evil Alabama Crimson Tide.
Oh, boy, listen to this. The evil Alabama Crimson Tide?
Hey, when there's a team who is defending their national championship, unless you're from the state of Alabama, well, and even then, because you could be an Auburn fan, but unless you wear the Crimson Tide's colors, you are considering them evil right now.
Yep, and also they steal away recruits from Western PA. They buy them out, so I don't like them for that either. Also, another storyline, though, there's a very decent chance, a very strong chance that Nick Saban could bolt for the Cleveland Browns. This game just has so many storylines to it, Doc, and we were talking about this earlier, I think earlier in the week, how, the SEC needs to get off of this, they need to stop being the king of the hill, and the Irish needs to get them off that hill. So, in terms of just kind of, in my opinion, really saving NCAA fans from watching a very bland, brand of football here these next few years, we need the Notre Dame Fighting Irish to win, or we're going to see SEC dominance here for a long time.
I think you might be right there, and the thing that scares me, though, a lot of people were unhappy with the national championship game last year because it was such a defensive juggernaut of a game between LSU and Alabama. Now you have literally the top two defenses in the nation. Notre Dame gives up 10.3 points a game, Alabama 10.7. You're going to see a defensive struggle. The question is which team on defense can make the big play, can cause a turnover, which team on offense it might come down to a gadget play to trick a defense. That might be the difference in this game. When you have such great defenders on both teams, and of course you got Manti Te'o, the Maxwell Award winner, as the nation's most outstanding player. If you like defensive football, this is, you're so in love with this game right now, and especially when you have two such prestigious schools in Notre Dame and Alabama. It's going to feel like a game back in the 60s.
Well, I think the key to this game, believe it or not, is going to be looking at the film from the Pitt versus Notre Dame game earlier in the year, where Pitt nearly upset Notre Dame early on in their march to the number one status in the country. Notre Dame is beatable. Granted, they haven't lost, but with that said, I look for Alabama upsetting Notre Dame at Notre Dame's game. Alabama has a stronger offensive attack than Notre Dame does. You take a look at what Pitt did with their hapless offense, and Notre Dame's streaky. I mean, they play up and they play down. If Alabama can contain Notre Dame's offense, I really, really believe Alabama can win this game.
Well, see, as much as I would like the Irish to win, I think you're right. Looking at the Pitt Notre Dame game where our own James Dawson was at this year, for hapless Pitt to kind of give them all they can handle, and for hapless Pitt to, they kind of should have won that game Harper missing a field goal and Notre Dame having two number twos on that defense, I can't help but think, how good it really is this team. I mean, anytime you go 12-0, you're good, but if you let a team like Pitt do that to you, I don't know, especially near the end of the season. Oh man, I don't know. I really have a bad feeling about this game. I kind of view this as David and Goliath here. So.
Well, I hate to burst people's bubbles here, but I'm looking at this granted, it sounds like Alex, you are dyed-in-the-wool Notre Dame fan, and God bless you, and that's wonderful. But I'm putting all my personal preferences aside, looking at this from looking at the game itself and looking at what Notre Dame did and how Pitt gave them all that they could handle and then some. And Pitt, of course, is a team that's in disarray right now compared to what Notre Dame is. And for Pitt to basically stymie them pretty much the entire game and to watch their offense, their vaunted offense, kind of fall flat, I think Alabama's going to be watching this. It's going to be watching films from that game in their preparation for this particular matchup here for the national championship. And I really think Alabama has a better than even shot to upset Notre Dame here.
Well, no, that's what I'm trying to say. I really think Alabama's going to win this one. And also, Alabama, I think, is favored to win this game by 10 points. Am I right, Jimmy?
Yeah, they're favored by 10 points in this game, so it's not exactly like it's the upset. It's the upset based on the 1 versus 2, but, Alex, you said it. I was at that game, and pretty much everybody in that stadium, their hearts sank and then rose back up and then sank again at least 4 or 5 times during that game with each missed field goal, with each touchdown, with each fumble right at the goal line. It was an emotional game, but here's the thing. No matter how bad that game looked, and no matter how close some of the other games were this year, including Stanford, BYU, they won the game. They did what it took to win the game. They had goal line stands against Stanford. They had a big stand on 3rd and 1 against Pitt that ended up forcing a field goal, the one that went wide. They had the goal line stand against USC at the end of the year, too, to preserve the perfect season for them. Notre Dame's defense, especially against the run, they didn't allow a rushing touchdown until I believe it was the 10th game of their season. And Alabama's offense is based off of 2 runners, both over 1,000 yards. They are a running team, and they're facing the best, by far, rushing defense. Defense wins championships. I got to take the advantage there. And also, look at this. The team that did the most against Alabama was Johnny Manziel, a spread offense, a Heisman Trophy winner. Put that aside, it was a spread offense. The most spread offense they played, they torched them. What does Notre Dame have? A spread offense with a quarterback who has the legs under him, who can make the plays with his feet. You knew I was going to say it, but I just gave reasons behind it. I am giving the Irish, who did not even start the year in the top 25, I'm picking the Irish to win down there in Florida.
I hope you're right, Jimmy. I want to be wrong here, but my brain and heart are going in 2 different directions, so I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
Tell me why I'm wrong.
About what?
Why am I wrong? Why will the Irish lose? I want to hear it.
Well, okay, the reasons where you said, Notre Dame found a way to win those close games, well, that's true, but also our elite teams shouldn't be in really those kind of close games. It's how in the national championship game, when you're going up against, the top program, the top team, the top coach in Nick Saban, you can't give them that chance. It's just too, like I said before, it's David versus Goliath here. I'm not saying Notre Dame can't win. If they are going to win, it will because of that spread attack. But just the way they've been playing, it's been too close to call all year. And can you really get away with that in the national championship game? I don't think you can.
Oh, I mean, when I go and I see Alabama put up close games too, I mean, they had a couple big-time blowouts, but they had a couple games that were a lot closer for a majority of the game. The scores are misleading. I mean, the game against LSU, they were losing until the end.
Yeah, but they can do it, though. They've proven they can win a national title. This is Notre Dame's first national title appearance since, 1988? It's just, it's the bully, basically. You know, it's like in the Rocky movies going, you know, it just, I don't know if I can really stay here.
Well, the one thing that scares me, the last time Brian Kelly was in a BCS Bowl was back when he was with, who was that again? Oh, yeah, Cincinnati, and they got absolutely pummeled by Tim Tebow and the Florida Gators. So,
hey, he wasn't coaching that game. He left for Notre Dame by then.
Thank you very much for pointing that out. That's exactly what I was going to say. So we got a lot that can happen. All I know is that, especially if you're a defensive juggy, you're going to really love this game.
Oh, no doubt about it. It's going to be a defensive matchup beyond belief. I mean, as the stat line proves, Alabama giving up 10.3 points per game, Notre Dame giving up 10.7 points per game. It's going to go back to who can control the rock and who can who has the best chance of getting points on the board. And yes, Notre Dame has that spread offense, and spread offenses have given Alabama problems in the past, but Nick Saban, he's been there before. He's been there before many times. And Alabama, I just look at what Alabama has done during the course of the year, and I just see the advantage toward the Crimson Tide here. I really do. I would say probably by 6 points.
And we'll see here in a little over a week who is right, who is wrong, and until then, all we can do is hypothesize, and that's what we do best.
That's right. Well, that does it. That's the BCS picks, and of course, after the BCS, there's one bowl left. That one lone bowl called what is it? The Steve Peterson Bowl.
Oh, yeah, the Heartbreak Steve Peterson Bowl. The crap bowl, the yuck bowl.
Yeah, well, luckily that's between the 4 BCS Bowls and the national championship, so that can be long out of the way. I thought you were going to say the one bowl game remaining is the Super Bowl. We're getting close to that.
Oh,
here
yeah,
too,
that
John.
we are too. And with that said, let's talk a little bit about Super Bowl predictions. Where we were at the very beginning of the season and where we're at now, staring the playoffs straight in the face.
Well, my Super Bowl prediction at the beginning of the year was to be San Francisco versus Denver. I changed it halfway through to Atlanta versus Denver, and I'm going to stick with that right now, Atlanta versus Denver in the Super Bowl.
My pick at the beginning of the year was the Patriots versus the 49ers. I'm really confident about the Patriots winning the AFC again, and, I'm kind of a little less confident about the Niners, but I think mostly because of the way the Seahawks have been playing. So, but I'm going to stick with my San Fran New England pick. And I had San Fran winning at the beginning of the year. I'll have them winning at the end of this year, too.
I believe at the beginning of the year I had picked San Francisco versus Denver for the Super Bowl. Denver still holds true in my books after watching them play all year. And this team is getting stronger and stronger as they go on. But I firmly believe that the NFC Championship game is going to be between Seattle and Atlanta, with Atlanta besting Seattle. So with that said, I'm going to have to agree with Dodson that it's going to be Atlanta versus Denver for the Super Bowl.
If Seattle was playing home games, and it's very likely that they could end up with a home field advantage if they win the division and Atlanta loses in the first round like they've been known to do. If Seattle gets to play at home, Seattle has the road the entire way to the championship, no doubt in my mind. You cannot win up in Seattle.
Let me ask this. Is it, in a way, not better not to have home field, but if they get that bye or anything like that, could that disrupt their momentum? I mean, you think of the 2005 Steelers where they won 8 games in a row. Maybe in a way, as long as they don't get that bye, it still won't even be that big a deal. I mean, they put up 100 points the last 2 games. So I just think either way, it's hard not to pick against Seattle.
The Seattle Seahawks are purely, and pardon the expression, the wild card here, but let's call it the X factor here in the NFC. Nobody ever had them on the radar screens until about midway through the season when Russell Wilson started performing the magic that he does, and of course Marshawn Lynch just going off like no tomorrow. This is a guy that runs a lot like a guy up in Minnesota called Adrian Peterson. So, with that said, the Seattle defense and the balanced offensive attack that Seattle has at this point in time, they're a very, very tough team to beat. Very tough.
Well, there you have it. A little extra Super Bowl prediction to go along with the BCS Bowl prediction.
And, of course, there'll be more of that to come with 360 Sports Network as the playoffs continue on after Week 17.
Gentlemen, thank you very much for a lovely, stirring conversation. And, of course, we have our battle of who wins, of who's got the best predictions for the bowl games going on right now. I believe Greg and I are tied in the lead with Alex, a game behind us. So we have a tight battle going on right now. We'll have to see just how it finishes up. You can keep track of that along with all of your updates right here on 360sportsnetwork.com. So, I think that's about it, gentlemen. So, for Greg the Mad Scientist Becerro and Alex the Saint DeLaverson, I'm James, no doubt Dotson. Have a pleasant evening. Enjoy all of your New Year's festivities. And, of course, enjoy the bowl games. And
Go Irish!